Thank you so much for staying with us. We've been looking at the issue of anti-corruption war that's been fought by the government of the day, led by President Muhammadu Buhari. He's been frustrated by the way and manner the processes have gone. Let's get to Yemi Adamolekun in Lagos, who's been joining us and talking to us on this matter. Is this the fault of the government this time around, or the system? When the president expressed frustration over the sluggish nature of these cases, is it a case of corruption fighting back, or a case of, where do we go from here?
But I think Larry explained it well. It's a systemic issue. If that's the way the judiciary has run for a long time, it will take a while for it to shift. So I think it's a bit, I don't know what word to use, of the president to just expect things to change overnight. The number of the judges didn't change, the lawyers haven't changed, the system hasn't changed, it's the same people. So beyond the executive's new interest in fighting corruption and commitment to it, quite all right, he has to work within the system that currently exists. So this new act has been passed, and they're working their way around it. Some might be sanctioned. Maybe if more judges are suspended or, as he said, retired, maybe the message will come in quite clearly. But it's a hard process to get judges sanctioned because basically they have to sanction themselves. And as we've seen in other fields, like the medical field or any other field, it's hard for colleagues to sanction each other.
Yeah, another case is the fact that the way and manner, balance in the cases that are being prosecuted. In the eyes of Nigerians, you relate with a lot of people, you hear what people are saying on the street. Do people think that these cases are balanced that across political parties or ethnic interest or political interest? Do you think that these cases have been balanced so far in the cases we've seen prosecuted?
I'm not speaking for myself now, but there is a general perception that it's not balanced, that it focuses on people who are in the opposition party. And I think, for example, the recent arms report was a classic case of that. A week or so ago, Premium Times had written an article around the report, and that the current Minister of Interior's name was part of the officers who were indicted. The interim report comes out, his name is not on it. The presidency then responds that, oh no, we haven't investigated the period under which he would have been involved. Meanwhile, the report itself has several references to Dapasao served as Chief of Army Staff, I think, between 2008 and 2010. And this investigation starts in 2007. So I'm not quite sure what the presidency is saying when they say they didn't investigate his time period, when references within the report itself references 2007 and even 2005. So it does, I think that's leaves a lot to the imagination. And I also wanted to say this. So the president is going on about the judiciary and rule of law and all of that. But if you look at even stuff that he is doing that doesn't necessarily time with that. And I bring this in because elections are coming up. We have INEC that doesn't have, I think, 20-something odd recs have not been appointed, or 6 commissioners, or I think we only have 6 commissioners, if I'm not mistaken. And you then wonder, we're planning to run elections in 2 weeks. So it's all the same thing around the system. You can't choose to focus on just one element because you want to focus on corruption, and then don't look at the entirety of a country you're trying to run. All right.
Let me quickly go to Larry Suraj in Abuja. You are the lawyer here. You should be able to tell us what exactly the way out when one makes a comparative analysis from this climb and other climbs. What is the way out of this quagmire that we found ourselves? The perception is not good. We are in a dire situation of a lot of money is being stolen. But again, do we have that willpower to be able to get these off our necks?
No, I think this perception actually is changing very critically from outside the country. I think Nigeria is perceived differently with the new anti-corruption effort of the government. Also locally, you can say that things are not going like before, but it is also very important that the government comes out with the national anti-corruption strategy for people to understand what you mean by fighting corruption. Fighting corruption is not just what we're seeing now, and like I said, what we've been seeing majorly can only be attributed to the effort of the EFCC. So even when the government says we're fighting corruption, we need to see other anti-corruption agencies functional. The Code of Conduct Bureau is still just living in the past. The ICPC is also still not different. And then you can't say that the government is holistically fighting corruption. But you have to see that process. And I agree, Nigerians don't want to also see the fight against corruption. They want to see the impact of that, in their lives. So the government also needs to understand the urgency of putting things in the right direction and in the right perspective. And like Yemi said, it's an holistic thing. So we have to see changes reflecting in every bit of the effort of the government. We need to also be assured that, even people bearing with the government now and taking the pain, they must be seeing the El Dorado, where they will have to also bear the fruits of that process. And that, for me, it is still not confidence that, okay, at least we can see a direction, but then there's a need to be part of the process. Right. And it's actually a collective responsibility. The media, the people, the judges, the lawyers, everybody must also contribute to the process.
On a final note, just in a few seconds, one will be wondering, does this president has a political will at this time to see this anti-corruption war to the very, very end? Just in a few seconds.
No, if there's anything you want to give to the president, is that political will. When you can see the way that things are going. No doubt it can be said to be on one side, but like I've advised people, we need to continue encouraging the government. When it finishes with this side, then it will be inevitable to go to that side. And that is why you can see the advocacy for Buratai and Dambazao to also come on board in terms of the investigation. And many of us are not going to keep quiet until we get to that also level of the investigation and prosecution.
Many thanks, Larry Suraj, for talking to us, and Yemi Adamalekon of Enough is Enough. Many thanks, guys, for coming on the program. Well, many thanks also for you being such a great company on the program today. On behalf of the team, I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.